From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Friday, February the 18th, 2022. It's exactly 86 days until the Ticats open up training camp and 113 days until they open their season in Saskatchewan. Like the big voice said at the start, I'm Louie B. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. A quieter week this week in Ticats land. A much quieter week than the week leading up to free agency. The week of free agency. Do have one signing to pass along your way, as the team announced today that they have signed national wide receiver, David Ungerer III. So very exciting to see him back in the black and gold. And really, when you look at what's left to be done for the Ticats, you look at the depth chart, you look at the bodies that they brought in, the guys who have left, there's not much. So likely a much quieter couple of weeks still ahead of us as we get set for all the key dates that the CFL announced this week. The Combine coming up on March 25th to 27th. That's going to be in Toronto, but before that, there's regional combines. They announced the CFL Draft will be on May the 3rd. And as mentioned, training camp opening May 15th, 86 days from today. So quieter week, but lots to get to on today's show, as we're going to be joined in just a moment by the president of football operations and head coach of the Ticats, Orlondo Steinauer. Pick his brain on the last couple of weeks, what's left to be done, all that fun stuff. So he's going to be joining us. Also going to be joined by the quarterback of the Ticats, the starting quarterback. That is Dane Evans. And a really cool interview to wrap up the show as I caught up with my friend Roger Nurse. And you may know that name, Nurse. Of course you know that name. Hamilton Nurse, come on. Roger Nurse is the father of Olympic gold medalist Sarah Nurse. So we'll catch up with Roger on just an absolutely hectic, emotional, crazy couple of weeks in Beijing for Sarah. They've been watching at home, but we'll get Roger's thoughts on Sarah's gold medal win a few nights ago. But let's get right into it with the head coach and president of football operations for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That is, of course, Orlondo Steinauer. And, it's safe to say, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, this has been a bit quieter this week than the last few.
Well, I think it's actually been a lot of bit quieter this week. It was definitely an interesting week, and I think that we came out of it pretty much as expected, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, because you have a plan going into free agency, and obviously plans deviate on what guys come, but how would you assess how close or how well your team did when it came to going in with a plan and executing?
Well, I thought that, Ed, Spencer, and Drew did a fantastic job. Just the preparation work going into it, they did an outstanding job, and the coordinators and whatnot were involved also. So you always have a plan, but it never goes according to plan, right? So did we get everybody that we had targeted? Absolutely not. But at the same time, you have to be flexible and ready for that, right? I'm not sure that any team got exactly everybody that they wanted. I think that we did a fantastic job of securing quite a few players ahead of free agency. So therefore, it may have seemed as though we weren't as active. But we didn't have to be as active. I think Winnipeg was in a similar fashion, right? They didn't have a ton of action, because they were able to secure. And I think we kind of fell into that boat a little bit more also. So it never goes according to plan, Louie. But we have some football players, A, that want to be here, and B, they're pretty dang good.
We'll talk about some of those football players in a second, but it seems like one of the criticisms we've heard during free agency is, 1 year deal. You guys seem to have bucked that trend with a number of 2-year deals. And how do you sell that to players in an era where it's bet on yourself and hope for a bigger payday? How are you guys so successful to really get guys to buy into a 2-year plan and maybe beyond that to what you're doing here in Hamilton?
Well, I think it's not even an option if you don't have an environment that people want to be in, or where they don't think that you have their best interest. And so it starts there. But, everybody didn't accept a 2-year deal. But again, just a fantastic job by our personnel department of, making the ask, first of all. And it's not a popular thing with the majority of players, and it's definitely not super popular with the agents. So there's so much that goes into it that you have to, be able to roll with the punches a little bit. And I guess the players would be better asked, Louie, to be honest with you, because they're ultimately the ones that drive the car, so to speak. They're the ones that have to make the decision and be open to it. And most of the time they're communicating that through their agent. And I'm sure oftentimes against their agent's wishes. But ultimately the agents do work for the players. And so we're extremely pleased that people would want to make a 2-year commitment to the organization.
Doesn't hurt that the 2023 Grey Cup will be played in Hamilton. So it's not just as simple as that. You throw the offer and be like, well, we do have the Grey Cup in 2023. Why don't you stick around for 2 years?
I mean, you can throw it in there, but, at the end of the day, they still have to want to be in your organization. So we're excited for all of those players that did sign 2-year deals, but we're just as excited as the players that signed a 1-year deal. So we're ready to go.
Let's talk about some of the players that you signed in free agency. And Micah Johnson was one that was rumored going back to the week before free agency, but to actually put pen to paper, what does it mean to have a guy of his experience, his skill set, to a D-line that even without him would probably be pretty feared, that would be really feared going into 2022? What does he add to an already really good D-line?
Well, obviously he adds experience. He adds a level of toughness, grittiness. He can be a problem if you leave him singled up. He's going to demand attention, which ultimately may be able to free up our ends a little bit. So in order to be able to rush the passer, though, you got to make sure that you can control the run, right? And he's going to afford us that luxury, we hope, right? So again, there's a guy that was sought after by, quite a few football teams. And these players do their due diligence. They call and ask around. They don't just sign blindly. And, we're fortunate that we were one of the finalists and then ultimately that he chose us. So we're extremely happy with Micah deciding to be, join the Ticat family.
Jared Tavai joining the Ticats family on that D-line too. In the secondary, I do got to ask you, because if I'm just looking at a depth chart and I'm putting the guys you have under contract and guys you've signed, like, am I wrong in saying that there aren't really enough spots in the secondary for all the guys you've signed at this point? Or how do you plan on making that work, Coach?
Well, it always works itself out. There's injuries that happen. There's competition that we're always looking to bring into camp. So we don't worry about the fit right now. Obviously, there's a strategic plan as far as people that you bring in. You're not going to overload a spot. I don't feel like we're overloaded anywhere. If you do the numbers, but, at the end of the day, we possibly are going to DI a defensive back. So that'll make room for another one. And it's a great challenge to have. I don't look at that as a problem at all. We were able to add some experience there and excited that they wanted to be back. I know they are too.
But you mentioned something, and something you've always mentioned on this team is competition, and that nothing is given. You got to earn your spot, and that's something that you have said time and time again over your coaching career, and I'm sure in your playing career. How is it hard to sell guys on, hey, you might not be the starter. We're not telling you the starter. You know what we have on this team. Like, how do you sell guys on competition when, maybe there's an offer somewhere else where it's like, hey, that spot's already for me? Like, how do you kind of balance that line of getting guys to buy in to that compete level?
Well, to be honest with you, everybody doesn't buy into that. And so that takes a special person to want to come to camp and possibly compete when they may have been a starter in another organization or even a returning player that we have. They all understand that it is about competition. That's how they got here. They beat somebody out. We chose to keep them over somebody else. So they came in and competed, and they don't lose sight of that. At least, I wouldn't think that they would. And so you don't sell the competition. What you are is you're honest with them, and you tell them up front that this is what it is, and don't expect you to like it or love it, but this is the most authentic way that we can tell you. And they know that there's no given spots. They want to go out there and show everybody that this is going to be their best year that they've had. And so when you have competitive people like that, it usually bodes pretty well for your whole football team.
I was about to say, it's not just positions in camp, but it's that competition every single day in practice that you hope to see the best out of these guys.
Oh yeah. We're gonna compete in practice too, for sure.
I've accidentally learned a couple of things having watched a few Ticats practices here in my days.
There you go,
Coach. I was about to say, I know you're a busy man, but I know that, but I don't want to put you on the spot on it. Coach, thanks so much for doing this. Let's just end it there. Appreciate always catching up with you.
No, it's great. We'll see you soon, Louie. Thank you.
My thanks to Orlondo Steinauer, President of Football Operations and Head Coach of the Hamilton Ticats, for joining me today. All right, let's get to our very special guest. Well, they're all special here on Ticats today, but very pleased now to have the quarterback of the Hamilton Ticats, Dane Evans, with us. And Dane, it has been a busy month since we last spoke. We spoke after you signed. Other guys have signed. You were at the Super Bowl last week, which we'll get into. But bigger than all that, you and your beautiful wife, Nikki, made an announcement. Can you share with our audience what that announcement was?
Yeah, we're going to be parents. So it's our first one. We're super excited about it. We found out it's going to be a baby girl, so I'm stoked on it. I have been telling her from the get-go that it was going to be a girl. I just had a feeling. I just knew it, so I'm really excited that we're going to be parents, and I can't wait to meet our little girl.
You must be over the moon, and I have to think that Kathy and Coach E being grandparents, what was their reaction to the news? Because that must have been really cool.
Yeah, they're super excited. We actually told them during the season last year, they were coming up. I can't remember which game it was for, but we just told them, to come to the house and meet us at our place. And when they came in, we had turned one of the rooms into a nursery. So they kind of just walked up the stairs and saw the crib in there and the change table and all that. So that's kind of how we told them. And then when we told Nikki's parents, because it's going to be both our parents' first grandchild on both sides. So both sets of grandparents are super excited. And we did the same thing for Nikki's parents, but they're in California. So we just FaceTimed them and showed them the nursery and everything. And it was good. A lot of happy tears. So.
Wow, that's just awesome, man. And congratulations again to you and Nikki, and to Murph, who gets to be a big brother now. Let's talk about football, and let's talk about the Ticats, because it's been busy since you signed. Obviously, a lot of signings have happened. The offense, a lot of pieces coming back. When you were kind of pitched, or when Coach O was keeping you in the loop, like how much of the conversation were you a part of when it comes to these guys?
When Coach O was talking to me, when we were talking about, my contract and re-signing back here, he told me that they want to make a team that, that can protect me and that I can help, win games with. So, some of the guys I definitely talked to, before they signed or whatever, and, talked to them right after they signed and kind of didn't really give them like a recruiting pitch on Hamilton or anything, but I just told them if they reached out to me and wanted to know, kind of how the city was or what the team is like, what the vibe is like, I just let them know. And I was honest with them. And a majority of those guys that I talked to are, now part of our team. So I think people know that we have something special here in Hamilton and really want to find out and see what it's all about.
We were talking about this with O earlier. The CFL 1-year contracts is kind of the norm, but it seemed like this year you kind of bucked that trend in getting guys back on 2-year deals, yourself included. How big of a commitment was that for you, and to see other guys kind of make that step and really commit to what this team is doing here for the next few seasons?
Yeah, I think that says it all, right? I mean, majority of the guys that we signed back, that are either new free agents that are joining our team or guys that we re-signed from the 2020 team, it was almost all 2-year deals, right? So I think that shows you the commitment we have to the players here, and really, how the front office feels about our guys. It's not just like, can we use you for 1 year and then send you on? It's kind of a developed place. We know what we expect around here. And I would like to be here my whole career. And I feel like a lot of guys feel like that too. So, I mean, a 2-year deal, you got to start somewhere, right? So that's kind of our starting spot here. And then we can just grow it from there.
Well said. Let's talk about the other side of free agency, because you can't keep everybody. And you guys knew, obviously, in that quarterback room, how happy were you to see Jeremiah land a starting job in Ottawa, to see, Speedy B get picked up? I mean, that's the business, but I mean, to see your teammates succeed elsewhere, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think this is a unique spot too. Obviously, last year, me and Jeremiah were both in a unique situation. We knew it could only really go on for 1 year. And that's all we said once the season was over last year. Like, it's nothing but love. I'm his biggest fan still. We talk every now and then still. And it honestly feels like nothing has changed. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to be wearing a different logo. I'm still going to be on the Ticats. And like, we just feel like the same people, honestly. I'm so proud of him, so happy for him. He definitely deserves this opportunity. And I feel like he feels the same way about me. I think he thinks that I deserve this opportunity too. And then like guys like Speedy and stuff like that, like, it's just, that's the worst part about this job, is how the business shakes down sometimes. And, that stuff is way above my pay grade. I'm just thankful that I got to spend 3 seasons with him, and I learned a lot from him. I hope he learned a little bit from me, and I'm still going to be a supporter of him, no doubt. He's a great guy. He has a great family, and it's nothing but love for me on that side too.
Yeah, and it hurts that it's the Argos just a little bit. And to that point, Jagarrett Davis also signed with the Argos. Do you think you got an edge? Do you think he's got an edge on you? You guys play each other 4 times next season. What's it going to be like to maybe be sacked by Jagarrett Davis?
Oh, well, hopefully that doesn't happen. But no, he's a great guy too. We've had a lot of long conversations, me and him, in the locker room, just about life, about football. So he's somebody I respect. I respect him so much. I love the way he plays the game. Hopefully I'm not seeing his sack celebration too much next year, as long as it's on somebody else. But he's a fantastic dude. And I honestly can't wait to play against him. I think when you play against some of the best like that, it brings out the best in you. So those will be games that I definitely will be looking forward to.
And let's get back to some of the new guys on the Ticats, including Matthew Schultz, who will be lining up behind you on the depth chart as QB2. What have your conversations with him been like since you signed, and what's that mood going into the season? And because you've been in his shoes, you know what it's like to be kind of a backup quarterback. So what's that been like so far?
Yeah, Schultz was actually one of the guys who I knew before he decided to join our team. We've trained together for about the last 3 or so years in Arlington, Texas, with actually the same quarterback coach, and Jalen Morton, who's another quarterback on our team. We all 3 trained together and have for the last couple of years. So now we're all on the same team. We've been joking with our quarterback coach, Brad Frazier, that he should be getting a little profit from the Ticats because he's got all 3 of us. But no, Matt is a great guy. I've always been a fan of his, even before I started training with him and knowing him. I really admire how he plays. I told him that the biggest thing you can do, is be ready. And we talked a little bit last year when VA went down and he was going to get an opportunity to play. And all he did was step in and win ball games. And I told him, really, that's all you can do. Because I was in that same situation in 2019. You can't worry about anything else. You just got to come in and win the game. And I think he really understands that approach. And that makes me feel super confident. And what I can't wait to get to do is just learn from him, behind closed doors on the whiteboard, talking about coverages, talking about how he sees the game. So I'm really, really excited about that, to get Matt in and just kind of learn the game from him a little bit. Because when you're picking from everybody and seeing how they see the game, that's when you can just keep learning and keep getting better.
Well said. Before we let you go, last week I saw you were in LA for the Super Bowl. What was that like? I know your agent threw a crazy party and walked the red carpet. What was the experience like in LA last week?
Yeah, it was great. Me and Nikki used to live out there. That's where Nikki's from, Orange County area. So we got to go back and see some friends and some family that we hadn't seen in a while. And, my agent did the full wine and dine. So one night he took us to a dinner in Beverly Hills, and he paid for the whole thing. And we had everybody from the agency there, and it was good because I haven't seen some of those guys in 3 or 4 years. So it was good getting to catch up with some of the other guys that are in our agency. And then the day of the party was super fun. It was at the Sony lot. where they film all the Sony movies. So it was cool just to, kind of be there and walk around there. I got to see Warren Moon again. He's in my agency as well. So
Nice.
We chatted a little bit, and we really enjoyed it. It was nice to, not be in the snow, to enjoy the warm weather. And we took advantage of it. So it was a good time.
That's awesome. Shout out to the Steinberg agency. Might as well, while we're here, for
They're the
putting
best.
that on. The best. There you go. Dane, thanks so much for doing this once again. Congrats to you and Nikki. It's always great to see you. And, we're back in the office next week, so I may have to find an excuse to get to Tim Hortons Field to watch a couple workouts here.
Yeah, come on down. I'll be in there. Great to see you again, Louie.
That is Dane Evans, quarterback for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. And again, congratulations to him and his wife and his parents and her parents. Getting to be first-time grandparents, and I've been lucky enough to meet Kathy and Damon, and I can picture their elation, and a really cool way to announce that they're going to be grandparents. And again, thanks to Dane for joining me. Speaking of parents, see what I did there. Very pleased now to be joined by a very proud father, Roger Nurse. And if you know the name, of course, Nurse Hamilton, Sarah Nurse, as she helped Canada to a gold medal in women's hockey at the Olympics. And Roger, just take us through what that was like watching the game, you and the family, 11 p.m. It was 1 o'clock in the morning when the game was ended, but you must have been amped up. What was that like for you?
It was. I'm looking at the clock in the game. And it was probably the last 13 minutes. It was gut wrenching, to be truthful. I mean, we were through it 4 years ago in Pyeongchang, and back then she had a much smaller role. She was a fourth liner. She's just kind of there, go up there, keep the puck down the zone, don't get in any trouble, don't try to do anything too fancy. But this year, she's on the first line with Marie-Philippe Poulin and Brianne Jenner, so she's expected to do a little something. And yeah, it was kind of a dicey as you're watching that clock tick down, going like, just okay, it's another minute down, another minute. Let's just keep her going. And as soon as the buzzer went, it was an explosion. Like it was just 4 years of waiting and the culmination of it all. So it's pretty exciting.
I mean, you mentioned Pyeongchang and a silver medal in a shootout, and I know that had stuck with her, right? And for Sarah and to go through everything, they win the gold in the 2021 World Championships, but to win it on this stage at this time, what did it mean? Like how do you kind of explain just what the feelings were like?
Well, as you know, the last few years have been pretty difficult. They've had a world championship canceled, one postponed. They're training with masks, a lot of virtual training. I mean, our basement turned into a little gym because, she's trying to train and she doesn't have her normal stuff. She had a knee injury leading into the Olympics. So there was just so many things and so many emotions. So just to look at her face, and she happened to be on the ice. So as soon as the buzzer went, there she was. See her face. It's like, we did it. We just went through all this and we got it done. And that was just you could see for the players, it was just, there was that element of relief as well as joy.
Yeah, and the thing about, like you said, and it's not just the Olympics, it's not just the canceled World Championships, but for the Women's Hockey League trying to get off the ground. I mean, what does it mean to you to see Sarah, of course, what she does on the ice, but the leadership role she's taken off the ice and being the face and being the voice, and what does that mean to you as a father? To she's so good on the ice, but even off the ice, it seems like she's even better.
Well, she's so well spoken. And she uses her platform effectively. Like, I didn't even realize that when she was at the University of Wisconsin, there's a group of athletes who use their voice, who were advocates. And so this has been going back a long way, and just very quietly. Now she's taken on a bigger role at the PWHPA and pushing for a new league, working about diversity. She's on the NHL diversity committee, and just having that voice to speak for people of color, to speak for all kinds of female athletes for that. Yeah. And just to kind of have that place to say and be listened to. And, she's got the ear of some pretty important people in our hockey community. And they hear what she has to say, and they know how important it is. And that's one of the things that makes you proud, because you've raised a kid who's not just a good athlete, it's a good person who does things for the right reasons.
And like you said, the same can be said, of course, for Isaac and Elijah as well. You, Michelle, again, it's been great getting to know you and then getting to know your kids by association and all that fun stuff. But so what's next for Sarah? Where does she go from here? Well, you mentioned, she's in a lot. She's got a lot of things. She's got, she's on the go. But what's next? How does she kind of decompress from the Olympics, and where does she go from here?
Well, I know that they'll get home. Like, we've seen her for a grand total of about 10 days in the last 6 months. So come home, take a couple days. And, from what I gather, the team is having a little trip away. So they're going to go away and then spend a little time and just kind of enjoy themselves. But once she gets back, I mean, it's boots on the ground. It's working towards getting that league up and going. I know they have so many meetings and things to look for. They've got the sponsorship behind them. And of course, after the Olympics, women's hockey is on the forefront. It's on the map. So people are talking. So it's time to strike. It's time to get things going. So she's got that going on. So there's a lot of other activities she'll be doing. And just, after you're a gold medalist, there's promotional stuff to do. So she'll be busy. But I think her number one priority right now is she wants to see about getting this league up and running. She wants to see about getting the best players in the world playing together in a place where it's just going to grow the game. And we talk about, growing the game is a statement everyone uses. But when you think about it, let's get those top Russians, Finns, Swedes, Swiss over here playing in a league with the top players. And again, that grows the game over there. And everyone complains about, Canada, US. But those teams aren't that far off. Yeah. Just a couple little things like an opportunity for their best players to play with the best players on an ongoing basis. And you're going to start seeing, oops, there's another upset, and then they won't be upsets anymore. Look at men. It's not an upset anymore.
Well said. And you can't use the argument that people aren't watching. I mean, 2 million Canadians tuned into a game that started at 11 p.m. Eastern. I mean, like that argument's not there. What did it mean to see those kind of numbers? And like you said, how do we turn those numbers in the Olympics every 4 years into something that we can move forward and a league that everyone can be proud of?
Well, when I think of the people watching, I just sit there and think of, that game ended at about 1:15. And I just think of the number of texts that I got between 1:15 and 1:45 to tell you the number of people who are watching, the number of people who I haven't seen in years, who still have my number, who are texting to say congrats. So it's out there. It's there. When you think about it, you put a women's hockey team in Toronto. There are, and off the top of my head, 13 girls hockey organizations within an hour. Are you going to try and tell me you couldn't put 7,000 people in Coca-Cola Coliseum? Think of Montreal with Marie-Philippe Poulin out there as the face of your franchise. You're telling me you could not put 6,000 people or 8,000 people into a building to watch that? Calgary's craving for it. These NHL teams down in the U.S., when the PWHPA goes on tour, they're clamoring for these women to come play here. So it's there. The interest is there. There's backing coming in. All the things that have to happen now is we need to put it there. We need to get the promotional marketing going. I mean, that's one of those things you talk about the NHL. Let's get your marketing machine going, support this, and you're going to see something special.
Yeah. And I mean, special is the word. And you just think of every little girl who's watching those games or watching a girl like Sarah become a gold medalist. I mean, it's incredible. And it's been incredible to watch her ride. And I know she's not done yet, right? She's got a lot of hockey left in her. Roger, it's always great to connect with you. Once again, congratulations to you and the family. Do you know where the medal is going to go? Do you have a spot for it?
I don't pick the spot. All I know is the first thing is I'm going to do is we're going to take it up to see the grandparents. Yeah. They get to wear it. We get the pictures of them. I never put their medals on. Like okay. When Isaac won the J. Ross Robertson, I don't even hoist the cup because I didn't win it. But I'm there. I'll take a picture beside it, all that stuff, and I'll get to hold it. And I'm really excited. She kind of has her places for her medals. Mm-hmm. The Olympic medals are a little special. They don't go on her normal shelf. Yeah. So, but I'm kind of excited to finally get to see it, to finally see her with it and get to see the look on her face with it.
Yeah, well said. Roger, thanks so much for doing this. It's always great to connect with you.
No problem, Louie.
Roger Nurse, father of Olympic gold medalist Sarah Nurse. And my thanks to him for joining me on today's show. My thanks to Dane Evans. My thanks to Orlondo Steinauer. My thanks to you for tuning in as well. We could not do the show without your support, so thank you. If you feel so inclined, why don't you rate us on your favorite podcatcher, which is apparently where you listen to your podcasts. It's called a podcatcher. I did not know that. I should have known that since I am on a podcast and have a podcast. But wherever you find this, leave a review. If you have any feedback, you can let me know at Louie B _TV. But thanks so much for tuning in to today's show. We are back next week, and we'll be back on the Ticats audio network throughout the week, bringing you all cool stuff you won't find anywhere else. Thanks so much for tuning in once again. My name is Louie B for the Ticats audio network. Hoping you have a great day.